Hi, and welcome to this quick tool review. This time around we have another interesting product from VEVOR to review. And by the way, I had no need for this product, to use it personally or otherwise. I'm really at this point, since they're sending products to me just to evaluate, I'm looking at how they're constructed and the build and interesting design ideas, and that's why I'm doing it. Not because I need these free products or in any other way am benefiting directly from these, other than I get education out of it, and that's what I'm looking for. So let's just dig right in. Just so you know up front, I don't know a lot about electric chain hoists, but this one seemed really interesting. This is an 1,100 pound model, I believe, and they have a 2,200 pound model as well. They use some expanded styrofoam to pack it. Looks pretty beefy. All right, so here we have the VEVOR 1,100 pound lifting chain lift, and they do make a 2,200 pound version of this. This is the 1,100 pound version. Its lifting speed is about 10 feet per minute, maximum lift height about 15 feet, 700 watt motor in it. It uses a welded chain construction, G800 welded chain, and it's approximately 0.8 by 1.2 inches welded links. It auto stops when it reaches the top. The chain retraction rate is about 10 feet per minute, so the longest you have to wait if the chain's fully extended is 1.5 minutes. It's got a bag to collect excess chain, which is really nice. Came with a suspension hook up here. You can't exactly see it. There's the suspension hook that it came with. Hook on top, hook on bottom, bolts with nylock nuts in it. I didn't tighten them because I obviously have no place to use this in my workshop. I wish I did, because I could really use something like this, but there's nowhere to actually put it, and nowhere to reinforce my ceiling in an easy way to support this. So I got this simply to review and see how it's made. A small quibble, I like the fact that the remote control token, they added a stainless steel cable to help support it, but they just tie wrapped it to the existing cable and didn't even cut off the tie wraps, and there's only a couple of them. I think that's kind of cheesy. They could have done better. Ideally, you'd have a cable with integrated stainless steel support cable, but barring that, they could have done something better, like heat shrink at multiple locations, something other than this solution. But it's a small quibble. There is an emergency stop. It doesn't seem like that's the kind of thing you're going to use often, but they included it probably because it's required for OSHA permits, because this thing moves so slowly. It's not like anything's going to be moving real fast and you've emergency got to stop this, because all you have to do is lift your finger off the button and it stops. So by the time you've reached over for the emergency stop, it's already stopped because your finger's off the button. So I'm not quite sure why you even have one. Again, probably some weird OSHA thing. But reasonably fast. And they use nice welded link chain. So let's pop this guy apart and see what's inside, because I'm curious to the construction. I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of planetary gear reduction mechanism, one or more levels, because this thing is going to need an awful lot of torque to lift 1,100 pounds. So you trade speed, a high RPM motor that has low torque, and gain torque and lose speed, and that's the trade-off. Pretty common. One more note is they came with a 2,200 pound lifting strap, which is nice. I wonder if this is the same strap they provide with the 2,200 pound version of this guy, but maybe they double that one too. Maybe they just give you a strap double the strength on purpose, but that's a nice include, because they certainly didn't have to, especially for the price. 350 bucks, currently 40 bucks off, makes it 319 bucks. Not a bad price at all, considering. All right, so to remove the side caps to see what they did inside, have to remove the hook that allows it to be suspended on top. But I didn't tighten those nylock nuts. I just put a couple threads in there. Hopefully these are hardened bolts. Grade 8.8. Looks like they welded the nut of the hook in there. That's an interesting approach. So also I had to remove the chain bag off the bottom, because it was holding the two sides of the clamshell together. And then it's just 4 screws per side. Wow, the bottom ones are seriously tight. Happened to me before too. Wow. Okay. Something really important about these bottom two screws. 3 of the screws fairly loose. 1 screw crazy tight. There we go. The hammer solution worked. I should have gone with that to begin with. I'm gonna have to replace that screw now, because that guy is toast. And this guy still has the flat. Maybe I'll luck out. There we go. Jeez Louise. That's a destroyed screw for you. These are pretty soft. And I just hollowed that sucker right on out. Kind of feels like they weren't intending you on opening this so you can service it. So this is the motor side. So this must be what I'm guessing is the planetary gear side. Oh, no, this is the motor side. The other side's the planetary gear side. This looks like the motor right here. Ah. So I am guessing inside here, multiple levels of planetary gearing. So the shaft of the motor goes up the center. Planetary gears in here to slowly rotate this guy here. That's just all a guess. I don't know for sure. The reason I guess planetary gears is because they can fit a lot of reduction in a very small package, and you can stack a bunch of them together in a fairly small space. Like I'm guessing at least 3 levels here. So you get massive torque improvement in a small area, and it's harder to do with other types of gear reduction methods. That's why they're very popular. Let's see, pop this guy open and see what's in there. And there they are. The inside is held fixed here. Oh no, that's floating. Okay. I was going, that's weird. I can't picture how that would work. But this is on a bearing. That's nice. And it looks like there's multiple sets of planetary gears. So there's your first set. There's another set. Can't tell if there's yet another set below. It's going to be hard to get all of these guys out. Oh, I see. The internal, so the shaft locks into this last piece, into the very end piece. So these are all hollow gears. So this shaft mates with the gear in the very end here, which then turns these gears, which then in turn rotates this gear, which is attached to the outside of this guy here, which then powers the next set of gears, etc., all the way to the beginning. And it looks like there's 3 packs of gears in there. Interesting design. So the reduction is significant. I don't know what the total reduction is exactly. There's the second gear pack, pulled that right there. I'm stacking it on the first. And yes, there is a third one in here. Lots and lots of grease. I'm glad they didn't skimp. Aha! And the third one is bolted probably to the output shaft. Okay, that would make sense because that's how they're getting the power out. So the outer teeth are engaged all the way around, I think, until this last one here. So this is a moderately expensive thing to machine here because they had to cut these splines in here. This is a perfect time for an impact device to loosen those. The impact can engage it before it has a chance to pop out of the, spin out of the way. And there we go. So there is where this last stage engages. This is the output shaft right here, this part right here, and that's why we couldn't get this out, because this part is, see, the inside floats free and the outside engages with the last planetary gear set. Wow, that is a really cool design. And it's still attached. All of these gears are on bearings, so they're not just sitting on a shaft, so they really cared about quality. I'm impressed. I'm guessing essentially underneath here something like a C-clip or something. Oh, floating shaft completely. Okay, there are C-clips on it though. So that must be holding inside here, probably attached to the mechanism that draws the chain in, the gear that draws the chain in. So that's the other side of that. Well, that makes sense. All right, well, I think I've gone about as far as I'm willing to go here. Is making a horrible mess. So I'm gonna put this guy back together. So there are 3 layers of planetary gear reduction. Here's the last stage, and then second stage, first stage. The main motor shaft feeds through the center, is not attached to this part right here, feeds to the outermost gear, which is on this plate over here, which feeds the first planetary set, which feeds the second, which feeds the third, and the third feeds the output. So it looks like we're gonna have to play games for each one of these to rotate the main motor shaft to get things lined up enough so that I can actually put this in. And being reduced makes it so that everything moves slowly, so the alignment takes a little bit of work. Got it all back together and wanted to test it before I completed everything. Discovered this is a pretty low torque motor because I had it sitting on the fan and it barely tried to rotate this assembly when I ran it until I realized what I was doing. But it brings it in pretty nicely and it sounds very smooth, so that's a good sign. One thing I do note is the limit switches for both sides. This plate here pushes up against the switch, which stops the motion of the motor in one direction only. There's one on each side, all done captive by this one pin in the center here. And that pretty much concludes my look at the VEVOR 1100 pound, 15 foot, 10 foot per minute chain hoist. I think it's pretty well made in general, especially for the price. Again, 300 something bucks. This is one of those things, again, where if you're using it occasionally in your shop, you know, a few times a week maybe, versus a business where you use it all day, every day, I wouldn't buy this for the all day, every day. I didn't see any obvious design flaws in it, but you're paying 320 bucks, probably not what it was made for. Never had that kind of design duty cycle in mind. But for your general shop purpose work, I think this thing is more than adequate. I obviously can't tell for sure like how long the motor's gonna last, but like all of the gears in there were on bearings. They could have just put the gears on shafts, you know, had brass inserts, done bushings, or not even bothered, just done a powdered metal gears on a hardened shaft and just had it rotate that way. But they didn't. They put bearings on all of them. So they're planning on a little more life expectancy than you might consider for this kind of price point. So I'm pretty impressed. I think the quality's good. If I ever find a place to mount this over by my mill, I'll show it to you. You'll probably see it in use a bunch. But in general, I think a pretty good price. Thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful. Hope to see you next time.